Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. So, we'll be discussing three articles today. The first is from The Hindu, which is titled as India's Outreach to Myanmar. Basically, this talks about the a new extension of relationships that India is trying to reach through Myanmar, and why this is very strategic for India's security as well, and various other aspects as well. Secondly, the Gilgit-Baltistan game plan, which is again from the Hindu. So this has been in news that the Pakistan country it is planning to declare the area of Gilgit-Baltistan, where firstly this area falls is important, and secondly it is trying to declare it this area to be a part of its own territory. So what would be the adverse consequences of this decision on India? We need to know that. And thirdly, water on moon, a discovery, an estimation, and why it matters. So this is not like for the first time that moon on the moon water has been found, but the area or the place on moon on the lunar surface where this time water has been found is really remarkable. That needs to be known. And finally, we have the news in flash column wherein we'll be discussing the small and crisp news points more important for a prelims exam. Before that, if you're also preparing for the Judicial Services exam, you can have a look at the LawSikho course that we have for you. So it is the Lord of the Courses, which is for judiciary test prep. And the link to this course is available in the description box below. You can also download free study material from the landing page itself. Also, we are excelling into various other courses like CLAT, All India Bar Exam, SEBI, etc. You can definitely have a look at them too. So this is the multiple choice question for the day. The Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement, BECA, has been signed between first, US, India, second, China, Pakistan, third, UAE, Iraq, or fourth, Russia, North Korea. So if you know the right answer, you can jot it down in the comment section below. This is the descriptive question for the day. Why does Pakistan want to declare Gilgit-Baltistan as their fifth province, and how it will affect India? Discuss. With this, let's start with the first article for the day, which talks about the India-Myanmar relations. So the Foreign Secretary of India, Harshvardhan Shringla, and the Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Naravane, recently visited Myanmar. So as we know that Myanmar is also one of the neighboring countries that shares borders with India. And if we talk about the location as well, so here, these are the seven sisters of our northeastern states. This entire area is Myanmar from here to here. This is Bangladesh. So you should remember that Bangladesh also shares a border, a small border though. It shares a border with Myanmar, and a long territorial boundary is shared with Myanmar if we talk about India on this side. So this visit reflects India's multi-dimensional interest in Myanmar and the deepening of ties that we are trying to proliferate in this area. Now let's understand that what are the India's foreign policies towards Myanmar. Since 1990s, it supported democratization driven within Myanmar. So we know that it was in the time of 1990s when the democratic setup was brought in Myanmar, and since then itself, India has been hugely supporting this process of democratization, as it allowed Delhi to engage with the military, and it also enabled Delhi to work with party in power. So we have actually, it's like a very good thing for India also that India has been favoring and been working with Myanmar whatsoever the conditions there had been. So before the democratization procedure, the military was very powerful in Myanmar, and still Delhi was quite engaged with the military. And since the time of 1990s, since the time democratization or the democratic setup has been introduced through the party which is still in power in Myanmar, and also elections are going to take place in Myanmar very recently. So even in that scenario, Delhi was a very active part in that area. And then engaging Myanmar to reintegrate with it in the region and the world. So basically, India has played a very important part when it comes to giving a lot of identical, bonuses, or in a way, for connecting Myanmar to the other outer world. And India has been a very good transit area, or in a way, a very good catalyst in this area, and to provide it with an alternative option to China. So just like India, so just the way India is also tackling the situation wherein we want to reduce our dependence on China, Similar was the situation with Myanmar, wherein Myanmar and the people of Myanmar have, and even till date, they actually depended a lot on the Chinese goods and products and services, but basically more or less the goods and the products coming from China. And China, even Myanmar had to find an alternative market from where they could buy goods in case there is any adverse situation that arises with China. And India has been very successful in offering that substitute to the China or the Chinese goods. So that is why India has provided with an alternative option to Myanmar in place of China. So let's understand that what are the initiatives that have been taken by India if we talk about lending a hand of friendship towards Myanmar. Firstly, inauguration of a liaison officer. Basically, a liaison officer is one authority that actually takes care of the various, the transactions that take place, various commissioning of things, or looking into a lot of international matters. And that is why we have inaugurated this liaison office of the Embassy of India in Naypyidaw, that is the capital over there. And only few countries have actually the liaison offices in Myanmar. And the first country over there to establish its liaison office was China in 2017. Then also India has proposed to build a petroleum refinery, evolving competitive dynamic with China. So basically, there is, as you already know, that there is a lot of tussle in securing the energy needs. As India also depends approximately 75 to 80% of for its energy and petroleum products on the Middle East area. Even China depends. China even heavier dependence it has on the Middle East and other areas, approximately 80 to 85%. And similar dependence is seen on the side of Myanmar as well. And but in this scenario, India is actually helping Myanmar to build for itself a petroleum refinery that would actually help it a lot in developing its own energy security. And India has also made an investment of $6 billion in Myanmar for this very project. Then jointly reiterated the mutual commitment not to allow respective territories to be used for activities inimical to each other. So in a way, a very sense of collective security has also been taken up by both the countries to make sure that some particular territories which were more prone to such areas are not subject to terrorism or illegal, any kind of human trafficking or any kind of smuggling of drugs or any kind of illegitimate activities. And then the most important Rohingya issue. So basically, Rohingya is, it's a community of Muslims. It's a Muslim minority, basically, that lives in this area. The color, the red one you can see, this is a Rakhine state. So as you know, there are various states in every country. So this is Rakhine state. This is the Chin state. And this area, this entire state has the greatest population of Rohingya Muslims. These Rohingya Muslims basically have many a times, they are treated very badly in their own country, and that is why they actually fled to Bangladesh. Now, as you can see, this entire gray area is Bangladesh. The red one is a Rohingya state from Myanmar. So this was just because on the border. So where a lot of Muslims who actually became refugees and moved to Bangladesh for saving their lives. But obviously, this was not appreciated a lot by Bangladesh because it is already, though now situations are changing anyway, they're getting better for Bangladesh, but still they were already overburdened with catering to their own population and their own infrastructure needs. And in such a scenario, it had actually a lot to do with the security issues as well, and as well as the entire burden on the population too. Thus, a tussle between Bangladesh and Myanmar is still prevalent because of the Rohingya Muslims who have come from the Rakhine state from Myanmar. And India has played a very good role, and it has also promised further to have an active participation in putting this issue to bring it on table and do a justified decision about the very same activity or the very same issue. And then Myanmar is keen linking South Asia to Southeast Asia and Eastern India. Now, as we know, that here is India, this is the northeastern part of India, this entirely West Bengal, Bihar, this is all India. So if we want to draw or to move towards East or Southeast Asia, then this is the very big country that comes in the way. And if you can now understand, if we have very good and friendly relations here, it is very easy for India to actually jump in here and then control or move towards the South and Southeast Asia. So it's very crucial for India to have a very friendly relationship with Myanmar in order to increase its outreach in the southeastern area. With this, let's discuss the second article for the day, which talks about the Gilgit-Baltistan area. So this area is the Gilgit-Baltistan area region. So now, as you can see, this is the Aksai Chin region. This was after the the war that took place between India and Pakistan. This area was seceded or given to China without obviously India's consent. And this red line is the line of control or the LOC. The area over here is the one that is under India's control, which we now know as the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and this is the UT of Ladakh. This area, please consider this area is the of Aksai Chin. Yes, this area is of Aksai Chin, and this is the Karakoram tract. This area is already under the control of China, and this is the line of actual control, which is much debated these days. All of us know about it. And this entire northwestern region is of the Gilgit-Baltistan region. So it has been years now that Pakistan has had control over this area, and now the news has come that Pakistan is going to declare this Gilgit-Baltistan region as the fifth province, as in the fifth, a part of its own area. So it was a part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir at the time of partition. Gilgit was has a very strategical importance because the great game in Central Asia. Because we know if you want to enter India even through Afghanistan, you can come through this area. If you want to do it through this area, Gilgit-Baltistan is a very, very strategically important area. So it was under direct control of British till 1947, and Gilgit scouts switched allegiance to Pakistan within a week of Maharaja's accession to India. So this is the crisp history of Gilgit-Baltistan. More importantly, what we need to know is that why Pakistan formally wants to integrate Gilgit-Baltistan into Pakistan. Because see, it still has control over this area, but it now formally wants that it should be recognized by everybody that this complete area belongs to Pakistan, and obviously it will give Pakistan entire autonomy, and the entire dispute that this is a disputed area will actually end just the way after abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, the Kashmir issue, in a legal sense at least, it got resolved. So after the revocation of Article 370 by India and bifurcation of the J&K into two union territories, Pakistan believes that the very decision to do so was very unilateral on the part of India, and so it thinks now that it will be a good point of retaliation, in a way or a method to take revenge, that now it will be formally bringing in this area of Gilgit-Baltistan into its own territory. Then the public opinion in Gilgit-Baltistan has long been in favor of full integration into Pakistan. Now, if at all there is a referendum at this place, the people also want to secede and move towards Pakistan. So obviously there is no retaliation from this side. Predominantly, there are Shia and ethnically distinct population with little community with Pak-occupied Kashmir, and thus they happily would want to move towards Pakistan. Then China's encouragement. Now, as we already had studied, that this is a worth $1 billion project that had been started from this area of Kashgar in China, and it directly moves towards this Gilgit-Baltistan. Now, just correspond both the pictures. This is a magnified picture of, this is a magnified picture of this area. This is the CPEC, which is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which gives a direct move or a direct area or a direct route from China to this Gwadar port of Pakistan and crosses Gilgit-Baltistan region. But now, since till today, this is very much disputed amongst China, Pakistan, and India, because India obviously claims Gilgit-Baltistan region, and it says that this entire construction of this entire CPEC is illegal, and it is basically an encroachment and without India's consent, and so it should not be allowed. But imagine if this area through which the CPEC passes is formally brought under the map of Pakistan, then definitely India would not have a word to say. And this $1 billion of investment that China has made on this route, and the very security that it wants to keep on this route, will be secured. So that is perhaps one of the biggest reasons for announcing that Pakistan would bring Gilgit-Baltistan under its own territory. So basically, it wishes to have Chinese military presence in Gilgit-Baltistan, which will be only possible once it has total autonomy over this area. And Beijing views Indian move to separate Ladakh from J&K as the first step towards India's claim on Aksai Chin, this area. So that is why China also must be provocating Pakistan to, formally bring this area into its own territory. With this, let's move towards the last article for the day, which talks about water on moon. So, two studies in Nature Astronomy have reported findings with possible implications of sustaining humans on moon in water in the future. So, according to the first report, detection of water on moon's sunlit surface for the first time. Now, this is the most important thing that I was telling you about. That it is not like that water has been suspected for the first time on the moon surface, that is the lunar surface. But earlier it was found out that in the southern area of the moon where the sun does not potentially reach, or the sunlight does not reach, the water was available in the form of ice. But this new finding has revealed that now water has been found, and that too in the very molecular compound or the combination of the H2O, just the way we find it on Earth. It has been found on the sunlit areas or the lunar surface as well, which means that even though the sun rays are there, they actually reach out to that lunar surface, still water is able to sustain in that particular chemical composition. So it was discovered in the Clavius crater. Now these are very important points, can be very potential questions from prelims in science and tech part. That what is the name of the crater where the this water has been found? So the name of this crater is Clavius crater, which is on the moon's southern hemisphere. So though this is also on the southern side of the moon, but still the sunlight very much reaches this crater. Crater basically are the deep depressions which are there on any surface. Okay. Coverage of water is there approximately 40,000 square kilometer, which is found out by NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and this is approximately of the area of the state of Kerala. So approximately in this much area of area, water has been found. And according to the second report, moon's dark shadowy regions potentially containing ice are more widespread than thought. So these are the two very important, findings that have come out on the moon. And these are the possible implications. Now basically we need to understand that why is it so important for us to have known that water actually exists on moon. So the moon water can be used for sustaining life over there. It can be used by astronauts if they go to moon, and as well as it can be a very potential component for generating rocket fuel, which as it will be less in weight. And NASA's Artemis program plans to send the first woman and the next man to moon in 2024. So this is the entire thing about the Artemis project. You can read about it. So this was, the earlier things that were known about water being on moon was that according to ISRO's Chandrayaan-1 mission, because obviously we know that Chandrayaan-2 could not unfortunately successfully land on the moon surface. But for Chandrayaan-1 mission in 2009, the moon mineralogy mapper found that water molecules were there in the polar regions. And according to a paper in Nature, it analyzed the M3 data to report detection of magnetic water on moon's surface. And according to SOFIA, which is again it's a like a Boeing, this is the entire number of it, infrared camera of this picked wavelength unique to water molecules. And now finally we are confirmed that water is there even in the sunlit craters of lunar surface. So this was all for today. Let's see what do we have for news in flash. First, new JNK Development Act omitted the term permanent resident of the state, allowing people, including investors, to invest in the union territory. So basically now land can be available, new land laws have also come, and now land also will be available to the outside people, and they can also buy land in the union territory. BECA agreement has been announced, so we just discussed like a day or two before that BECA, which is the Basic Exchange Cooperation Agreement for Geospatial Intelligence, basically, So it has now been formally signed between India and US, and these are all the very, an extension of the Memorandum of Understanding regarding the Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership will take place through it. So yes. So yeah, this was all for today. We hope it was a good session for you. Thank you so much for staying tuned with LawSikho.